start to another week, and it's a little bit windy out here this morning, but most of our snow is gone out here. Well, there's one load of chickpeas heading out, and we got another semi coming in the morning, which means I gotta get this thing loaded up tonight. So I forgot that our one hose was broken, so I actually had to move the entire grain vac like way closer to the bin here now, just so I actually have enough tube to get this thing cleaned out here. Well, we got everything set up. It's still light outside. It's only 6 o'clock, so hopefully we get this thing loaded pretty quickly. The bin here, we do have a flashlight so we can kind of see what's going on in here too. I'm no scientist, but I think we have a little static electricity buildup on our drain back here. It's somewhere on this connection where it's actually getting a little bit savvy. Well, just after 8 o'clock, but we got this thing loaded, so not too bad. And we actually almost got the bin emptied out too, so not too shabby. My plan for today was to get the last of the chickpeas cleaned out of the grain bin here. However, the boss just told me we do have some chemicals showing up today, which means I'm going to need something with some pallet forks on it, which means I'm gonna have to unhook the tractor again just so I can get the chemical unloaded. Then I'm gonna have to rehook everything back up again on the grain vac. So you guys know I'm always talking about how we want snow on the fields over the winter, and this is one of the reasons why. You can see way over there across the coulee, one of the neighbors' fields is starting to blow a little bit, and I don't think it's snow. I'm pretty sure that's dirt getting blown off the field there. So that's one of the reasons why we like to have snow covering up the field, is it just kind of helps protect the ground from the wind and stuff. Because on super windy days like today, it's not fun watching your field blowing away. While we wait for our truck to show up, we are gonna finish up greasing this thing, and there is a few grease zerks you have to grease while it's up in the air like this. But if you guys are wondering if it's safe to actually crawl under this thing, that's what these little bars are for. So yeah, these things just flip up and it kind of locks down into them, so that way you don't get crushed if you're losing hydraulic oil. Well, we got a little bit more crop juice here. Just got the grain vac hooked up again and went to go start it to get the hydraulics running and get everything unfolded. However, when I turn the key on, we have no power. It does try to fire though, but yeah, we're just not getting any power to our fuel solenoid, and apparently not our dash either, so. But I'm hoping it might just be a fuse, so we'll pop this guy open and get this cover pulled off. And now we'll pull one out at a time and see if we got any blown fuses in here. And there is our problem fuse right there. Let's go grab another, 15? Thankfully that was an easy fix. Let's go get the semi started and get this bin cleaned out. Well, that's the last of the chickpeas, and actually the last of the crop on the whole farm here. It's Sunday morning, and it's actually kind of right after the time I start my live stream. However, I have some water issues, so I figured I'd show you guys a pretty handy little tool I have just for kind of keeping track of our water. So down here in my basement, you can hear that little alarm going off, and this thing is really loud here. But what it is a little water sensor. And you can see it's going off right now, and it's all red. And how this thing works is as soon as it gets a little water, either in these holes or on top of this thing, it starts going off. So that's why this thing's going off. It's because actually our little drain for our furnace is backed up here too, which means our main sewer line is probably plugged up as well. So I'm gonna have to get some tools to get our sewer line hopefully cleaned out here. Okay guys, I'm gonna show you how to fix our sewer issue we have here. And don't mind my dirty basement here too. I am kind of trying to redo some stuff down here, so it is a mess and a half, and there's kind of tar up on the walls and everything. But yeah, it's all this black stuff is kind of floor tar, so yeah, don't mind that. And we are gonna be dealing with sewer, so I'm gonna try to keep it as clean as possible just for you guys, the viewers. But yeah, there may be some poo
in the video because it is sewer. So, but I'm going to show you guys the easiest thing we can try first, and some of the tools we use for that. So we have a hose here, and I like this hose because it is pretty stiff, so it's easy to kind of use for our job. But yeah, we don't want something that's like really loose. We want something that's a pretty good, stiff, strong hose. We're actually going to take this little attachment here, which this thing, what it does is it actually expands. And then when it expands, it gets stuck in the pipe and helps clear it out.
And I forgot to mention, this thing has a special tip on it too, so when it's shooting the water out of there, it's not just shooting a straight line like a normal hose, it's actually spinning, and that way it kind of helps cut through any junk in the pipe.
We want this thing on there tight because we really do not want this thing getting stuck inside of our sewer line as well. And this is going to be kind of one of the dirtier areas we work in, so I'm going to have these bags kind of open and ready to go for when we finish up today's project. Very first thing I'm going to do is take our one end of the hose here, and we're actually going to hook it up to the water heater. That's the thing, we like using the hotter water for this job because it kind of cuts through all the sludge a little bit better than cold water does. And this is our sewer clean out, so we're going to get this cap pulled off of here, and then we're actually going to shove this hose inside of that hole. And I did shut our furnace off as well, that way we don't actually have any water going through here. So now there shouldn't be any water running through our pipe in the house. I'm just gonna take this hose and I am gonna shove it down here as far as I can. And there I can actually hear it hitting a little water. Now here we are, we're kind of at a point, doesn't really want to go in any farther. So we're gonna call that good. And if you guys are worried about draining the water heater like this, I'm not sure if it's hard on it or not, but my uncle, who is a plumber by trade, was the one who told me to do this. So I'm assuming it shouldn't hurt anything. There is a shower in there, which is our lowest drain. So that's kind of the thing I'm keeping an eye on. It is pretty dirty though, so I'm not gonna show you guys that. Once this thing's been running for a little bit, we'll shut it off there and we'll run back in this other room. Come in here, you'll shove a little bit more hose down if you can. Try to kind of break things up. So after fighting inside for a while and not making any progress, I was almost wondering if our cistern was full. So I came out there, I got this long rod, just pull this little cap off, you shove it in there. And my cistern's actually really far in the ground, just because of how this house was designed way back in the day. The sewer's like 10 feet underground, so our cistern's really far down there. However, we do have a bunch of water in this thing, and so I'm thinking we have maybe a plug somewhere kind of down the line here. Well, not the funnest day to be chipping ice, so right now we got our spud bar here. This is what we call the spud bar. I don't know why it's called that, but it is. And we're trying to break some ice out over our little cover here. Also, that's a cow turd, not a human turd. Lots of cow turds around here because we're out in the cow pasture. Like you can see there, we have just been kind of smacking out ice for about an hour now. I did not think I had this thing dug in here that deep because I had to do this last year too. And yeah, I remember telling myself I was just gonna put a little tiny bit of dirt around it to kind of keep it from blowing away, but I put in, I think, way too much dirt. How deep did I put that thing? Gosh. Finally ended up just grabbing a Sawzall and cutting that thing off. And then once I started breaking through the ice, as soon as I broke through enough ice, we just had water flowing out of this thing. So I'm assuming what our issue must be is just the end of our pipe kind of getting frozen up here and the water has nowhere to flow out. So I'm gonna talk to someone who actually knows what they're doing with this stuff and try to get this all figured out here.